Yo, what's going on, guys? S6E3 back with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about Better Call Saul. This is a big time episode, the third episode of season 6, the last season of the series. We're getting down to the end of the Better Call storyline, Better Call Saul storyline, and we're easing into the Breaking Bad storyline now. Some pretty pivotal moments happen here to kind of get us closer to the Breaking Bad storyline. But there's an opening and a main story. The opening's like distinct. There's like a really cool like pre-credits scene that's very interesting. So let's just get to the plot and the critical reception. I have to probably leave here in about 30 to 40 minutes. So yeah. In the opening. So as rain begins to fall, a close-up scan of a small patch of desert stops on a blue flower, then settles on a piece of broken glass. Which is very interesting because that's kind of like, it's kind of foreshadowing, but it's kind of hard to like interpret what that meant for the story. But it is what it is. It means something, but I don't know what it would mean. Main story. Let's get to the main story. Let's get to the actual episode here at hand. So the truck Nacho Varga is driving after his escape breaks down, so now he kind of has to continue his journey on foot. But I mean, if they find his truck, they're gonna know that he's like around the area, which kind of sucks for him. He conceals himself in an abandoned oil tanker until the cousins move on with their search. He's like holding his breath under the oil. It's fucking gross. And I mean, he evades them for a while. He later cleans himself in a mechanic shop and makes a farewell call to his father, Manuel. So I think like the mechanical shop kind of reminded him of his childhood and like working with his father. Brought him back some memories. Probably made him a little sad. So it like gave him a sign to like call his father, because this is probably the last time he's gonna see his dad. This is the last time he's gonna like talk to his dad, because he knows that death is kind of upon him, because he's ran away from everybody for too long, and he's kind of disobeyed everybody. Well, he disobeyed what he was supposed to do, kind of broke some oaths, and then he kind of wants to end this misery for his dad. Kind of like, he's not going to turn himself into the police like his dad told him to. He's going to turn himself into, Hector, like the Salamancas, Bolsa, Frank. He's going to turn himself into those people. He then calls Mike Ehrmantraut, asks to speak to Gus Fring, and offers to surrender as long as his father is protected. He's like, look, I want to keep my dad alive, but I'm done here. Like, you can't keep going after my father. He wasn't involved. And he just he's willing to surrender for his father to be safe. Gus's men smuggle Nacho into the U.S. and Mike administers a beating, so it appears Nacho was captured. So they kind of make it look like he got captured instead of just like calmly picked up and smuggled across the border. Mike and Nacho review the plan for Nacho to absolve Gus of blame for Lalo's death. After confessing, Nacho will attempt to flee so Victor can kill him, guaranteeing the Salamancas will not torture him, because that's kind of what they're planning on doing. Like, the Salamancas are very, very ruthless people. But for now, let's move on to Jimmy McGill and Kim Wexler's situation, because Nacho and their situation kind of ends off the episode. So Jimmy McGill and Kim Wexler conspired to obtain duplicates of Howard Hamlin's car and vanity license plate as part of their plan to force a resolution of the Sandpiper case, but realized that actually obtaining access to his car is more feasible. Like, why would we get duplicate of his car when we can actually just get his car? Why would we go out, rent a car, go out of our way and pay money for another one of his cars, which is expensive? It's like a Jaguar. So at the time, like, that type of Jaguar was pretty fucking like popular, I would say. I mean, it's like this show took place in like 2005 right now. It's kind of where we're at. Maybe a little later, I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure where it would have taken place. But Jimmy and Kim work with Hugh Babineau and another associate to obtain copies of Howard's car key and remote unlock button. So they kind of like hack his car. It's just like this valet scam that they were talking about in the previous episode, and they kind of go on with the plan. Huel tells Jimmy he does not understand why two legitimate lawyers would commit crimes. He's like, look, you got a mate, you're established. Now I like working with you and stuff. I like making money with you and stuff. But why are we doing this? Why are we doing this to another rich man? It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make sense. But Jimmy has his own reasons. Jimmy definitely has his own personal reasons for doing this, and Huel doesn't really understand that. Jimmy makes an unconvincing argument about doing wrong to accomplish a greater good, which, yeah, that doesn't sound right because you're already doing enough good as a lawyer and serving the public. Prosecutor Suzanne Erickson connects Jimmy to Lalo Salamanca, and Nacho tells Kim that Lalo is dead and asks him to persuade Jimmy to inform on the Salamancas. So Nacho's dead, or Lalo's dead, but we'll get to the other later. Lalo's apparently dead to the public because of this firefight that happened at his house. So the whole public believes that Lalo's dead, but pretty much everyone else involved in the shit knows he's alive. Hector knows he's alive. Gus knows he's alive. Bolsa knows he's alive. So yeah, I mean, the public can think what they want, but Lalo's still on the loose, and that's still a big storyline in the series. So while Mike watches from a distance and trains his rifle on the location, Gus, Tyrus, and Victor meet with Juan Bolsa, Hector Salamanca, and the cousins to hand Nacho over to kind of like finally end it for him, to like, he's like, here, you can go back to your Salamanca people. As planned, Nacho claims he aided the Alvarezes to kill Lalo, so he like confesses to everyone. He's like, look, I was involved in this. Yeah. He then bolsters his confession by revealing that he tried to kill Hector, but Gus saved him. Like the pills, he tried to kill Hector Salamanca, and obviously Hector's like furious. He's like, he's like heavy breathing. His like fingers like twitching on the bell. Nacho uses the piece of broken glass he retrieved from Gus's trash to cut his restraint, seize Bolsa's gun, and kill himself. It was insane. This was a very insane part of the show. He's kind of like putting himself out of his own misery because they've been torturing him. They're animals, they're putting his family on the line. Yeah. As Gus and his men depart, the cousins assist Hector to fire bullets into Nacho's lifeless body. Kind of fucked up. It's a very fucked up scene at the end of this show, at this episode. But that was a pretty insane episode. A lot of shit happened. So now Nacho is erased from the Better Call Saul series. So now all we have for the Better Call Saul series that is exclusive to that series is Lalo. And I'm pretty sure once Lalo's reign on the show ends, that's when it's safe to say we can get into Breaking Bad. But get into the reception. Man, great performance by Michael Mando. I really didn't want to see him go. He played so well as Nacho Varga in this series. Such a memorable actor in this show. But looking at the reviews, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, 9.3 out of 10. Again, Michael Mando playing Nacho was amazing. His display of rage and the episode's build up to the ending was pretty awesome. Mando's acting was deserving of an Emmy nomination, damn near. Like, I think he played his role well, like really well. Nacho's last words were kind of like Walter White's confession to Jesse Pinkman in the Breaking Bad episodes Ozymandias. The performance of Giancarlo Esposito and Mark Margolis were great. The show's development of Nacho as a compelling character, the show does a great job, of stuff like this. Smith's screenplay, the direction, the production design, all more pluses. Nacho's life was kind of like Jesse Pinkman's life in a way, like both criminals who made some terrible life choices and were overpunished for them. It would have been great to see more of this stellar actor, but if you must leave a show, a more dramatic and affecting end is hard to imagine. He couldn't have left the show in a more dramatic way. The storyline shared similar themes on creating one's fate, so that was kind of cool. The straightforward narrative was great. Mando's performance was fantastic throughout. So tired, so defeated, and yet so insistent about ending things on something resembling his own terms if he can. It is a tour de force, particularly the phone call sequence and not just staring down the Salamancas for the last time. So, wait. So was this season this year? This happened this year. This season did. Am I correct on that? So at the time this came out in like April of this year. People were saying that this was one of the best episodes in television of the week, and Mando had one of the best performances. It's a beautifully moving episode that saw Mando hit new dramatic heights. We could see the emotions welling up in Mando's eyes as his character's tragic fate began to settle in. Now, I'm sure he didn't want to leave the show, but gotta do what you gotta do. All good things have to come to an end, and we gotta credit Michael Mando because he played this character so fucking well. He had the ruthless side, he had the emotional side, the happy side. I mean, yeah, you know. Nacho may not have lived long enough to share the screen with Breaking Bad's Walt and Jesse. Like, imagine if he could have, and he was like in the Tuco storyline. That would have been so cool. But with Mando's truly exceptional performance this episode, he's more than earned the right to share the screen with anyone. So, I'm sure, Michael Mando might not be the most popular actor, but I'm sure, like, after this episode and stuff, I don't know what he's been in, but after this episode and after some of his performances here, I'm sure his name's going to be called in a lot of places. So shout out to him. That's the end of that, and that's kind of the end of a chapter for Better Call Saul. We get rid of Nacho Varga, and now our focus is on Lalo, because we got to figure out what his fate is. That's kind of like the beauty of a prelude, to see what happens to characters that are introduced in the prelude, right? Yeah, we're nearing Breaking Bad.